now. Let's see if this is any better. All right, is this thing actually working? Okay. Yes. All right, we are in order. Cool. Audio device taken care of. Hello and welcome to the NeurotechSF Hack Night, June 24th, coming in right on time, 25 minutes after our start time. Thank you all for joining us. This week, we're just going to be talking about general neuroscience. We're going to be talking about, here, I'll even pin it in so you can pretend you're looking at me on the stream. Yeah, so a lot of the new devices that have been in progress for the last few years seem to be shipping out, which is really, really cool. I recently received a set of work headphones, which we're going to talk about today. The Emotabit hardware has shipped, is in the process of shipping if you purchase the engineering samples on the Kickstarter campaign, or I'm sorry, the Indiegogo. And we're still keeping an eye on the N10 Indiegogo campaign, because I think many of us are very interested to see how that project is going to get response rate from the market, from the audience. I think lots of us are watching that with the hope that like this will really give us a sense of where the interest is and the level of engagement that people have with this. So yeah, to get things started, let's take a look at the work device. So to talk about the let's let me share my screen on Jitsi as well. Cool. So are you able to see my screen with the desktop?
Looking good.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. So these are the Enos. So Eno Indiegogo. Mindset, right. So the name of this project, when it started a few years ago, was the Mindset Smart Headphones that improve your focus. And here is their sales pitch video.
Psychologists call it.
This was put together on April 2017. So I have been looking forward to these for the past 4 years, and the banner day has arrived. And I think this reminds me a lot of like Calvin and Hobbes series, where I think he ordered a beanie and he had to wait 6 to 8 weeks for shipping. But yeah, something similar to that. It was a few more weeks. But
nothing can stop
this small team out of Montreal did deliver.
But in a world where we're more distracted
that's
than
really,
ever,
really cool. So here was their the device.
Getting in the zone can feel
hey,
impossible.
You're working.
Introducing Mindset, the world's first headphones specifically designed to maximize your productivity.
The idea was, well, what if you put on a device that will let you measure your brain activity? So if we look at that and we compare it to the finished device, well, we'll do that in a second so that I can finish showing you the features. But basically, this is it, right? You're wearing what looks like a normal set of headphones. And you're a good corporate employee. You're spending your own money so that you can be more productive at work. Sorry, I'm just messing around a little bit. The question of this productivity sales pitch is one that I find very, very interesting because for anyone who's self-employed, I think the value proposition is straightforward. It is an interesting idea to be like, hey, a bunch of programmers are going to go out and shell out cash so that they can code better at work for the same money. But at the same time, like the concept of being able to measure your productivity, the concept of being able to measure your state of focus, I think that's That's very legit. I'm just mentioning the office environment because it's always something.
Mindset recognizes when you're in a state of concentration.
So anyway,
whenever you become distracted,
and
Mindset sends you a gentle audio cue.
You're realizing, oh my goodness, I'm distracted. They're not
to bring you back to focus.
To be distracted.
Research shows it takes 15 to 20 minutes to refocus after becoming distracted.
So
with Mindset,
Mindset's of your day. And maybe the idea is you want to know that you are most productive in the afternoon between like 1 and 3 p.m. And so you're gonna save your most important work projects items for that time frame, and then you're gonna put on these headphones and you're gonna be confident that your mind is kicking at 100% as you do that task. So these were $279 4 years ago on the early bird pricing. And they had a package where for $500 you could get 2. The final shipping price, now that we are on the market, is $400 American. So it's gone up a little tiny bit. Let's see. I think I might have closed it. I hope I didn't. Yeah, here we go. So here's the phone, and there we go. Back to the Mindset. If you look at the updates, they have shipped these out recently, and they released their app called Work. So let me kind of jump to the cool part, which is, hey, there is a really, really sweet piece of neurotechnology. Oh, we're skipping ahead. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for a moment so you can see me. All right, so cool thing was they're here, and they're pretty much just like the sample that was talked about. So a couple of differences. In the prototype, there were 3 electrodes, 1 on each side, 1 in the middle. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. You have 2 electrodes up here, and you have 2 electrodes in the ear cups themselves. So these little metal, brass, gold connectors are how the headphones sample from here, and these thicker electrodes are how they get your 2 upper locations. So I can see that these have gotten a lot longer in the development cycle, and almost certainly that's because of hair issues, that anybody with hair of a decent length was not getting a good signal. And so by making these a lot longer than the prototype, you're going to get better contact with the scalp. So, okay, cool. Very, very similar to what we were expecting. The form factor, it's a little hard to see because of the lighting, but was very much almost identical to what they showed in the video. And these are decent looking Onkyo headphones. This is a metallic, not a plasticky material, so it actually feels very solid. It's not wobbly. It doesn't feel cheaply assembled or put together. And the materials are all very pleasant. So like the headband is this nice cloth. There's also this microfiber material right here. This is the part that you push down on your head to make the good contact. The ear cups are microfiber, and you get this little status light on the bottom that tells you if they're on, if they're connected, all that good stuff. So in terms of the hardware, I have to say, like, it's higher quality than I expected. I mean, for something that was kickstarted and put together, and just in the sense of, this wasn't some big project put together by Sony that had $100 million behind it. This was a small team. The level of hardware quality, materials quality, design quality far exceeds what I was expecting. So that's really, really cool. In addition to that, they seem to use high quality Onkyo audio drivers, which are like 40 millimeters, which is pretty good because some of the headphones that I like, the classic Sony MDR 7506s or the V6s, if you're familiar with that, they also have 40 millimeter drivers, and that's a pretty good size, and it works well for these headphones. I was very disappointed by the audio quality, which probably is not super significant, but I was hoping that this could be a case where we work on like esports. So we run into issues where like an athlete might not be willing to wear an EEG. So we thought that this would be a really cool way to get people to like, hey, look, you're already wearing headphones, you're already gaming, just put these headphones on and game, and then we'll get your brain data. You don't have to do anything special. But I think there's a couple of things that are going to work against that. The audio quality is such that it's very hard to distinguish the directionality of the sounds, and that's in audio terms, I think you would call it soundstage quality. But the soundstage may or may not be important if you're listening to music. It is important if you're listening to gaming, because you want to be able to very quickly infer or deduce, someone coming up on me on the left or on the right, and I need to kind of like anticipate which way they're going to be approaching me. So the audio separation, the ability to kind of like, I know that's on the left side, I know that's on the right side. I would describe that as very poor. And to give you an example of what I do consider like a really good soundstage, and I'll go ahead and share the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's go. Okay, so the SteelSeries Arctis gaming headset, and in particular, I mean, they have a couple of form factors, but realistically, these are about $100 to $150, and these headphones have excellent sound separation. So if it's not really intended to like beat up on these for audio quality, but if $100 to $150 device has significantly better sound separation, sound profiling, sound equalizing, etc., than a $400 device, then I think that's kind of like noteworthy, just in the sense of you're asking the consumers to pay a very big premium, and they may not necessarily be getting like the most premium experience. So definitely something to consider is that a lot of these $100 to $150 headphones, the other ones that I consider like Sony MDR 7506, these are like a classic reference headphone that you'll see in a lot of audio production and whatever. And I just kind of throw them out because this is an old design, about 20 years old, and it's about $100. And both of these are gonna give you just much different, much better sound quality. The other thing that I was a little bit surprised by, sorry for the inception, I'm gonna turn off the screen sharing. Yeah, all right, cool. The other thing that I was a little bit surprised by was these are on a pretty strong spring. And so they're also quite uncomfortable. I felt like I can very clearly tell the two pressure points where it's making contact with my head. Unfortunately, because of the shape of my skull, which is a little bit curved, I have to, when I'm wearing these, I have to put it on quite strong, which, as you can see, like doesn't really look good from the sensor side of things. And yeah, so the location's a little thing, but okay, so you can push it down like this, right? And make better contact, but it's a little rough because without some way to put this here, there isn't a good way that I can force the headphones to stay down. I don't have a way to apply like pulling force on them. I can make the headband tighter, but it just sort of pushes back up. So I feel like for me, for my particular skull, I have to kind of push down like this, which doesn't feel like a premium experience to me. And then I'm going to go ahead and And let's take a look at their app. All right, so here's my brain data. And you see when I push down hard, you get the green. If I don't, it's going to go red. But this is what you get in their app. So here are the 4 electrode locations. I'm trying to do a series of blinks, but it's kind of dicey. And there you have it. So according to this, it is collecting my brain data. And this is the only method of kind of inspecting that they have. So unfortunately, you can't stream this data. You can't record this data. You can't send it to somewhere like LSL. The only thing you can do is use their app. So the way that this basically seems to work is you've got a profile and you've got your sessions. And when you're ready to start, you hit start session, and you're gonna choose how you're feeling, or what you're trying for. So let's say I'm trying to be creative. Okay, and I guess they have the music player integration. So I'm just gonna hit end session. Oh man. Okay, well anyway, the basic gist of it is you have some target state that you're trying to reach. You open the app, you set your goal to be whatever you want, and then you get to it. So yeah, I think that this would be really cool if you could store your data locally. I think the fact that these only exist in the sense of like giving you parameters of your own data, and here, you can see me again. I'm gonna take these off so that I can hear. I get, that this was kickstarted 4 years ago, and I get that it's a small team, and I get that having the user data is a big part of the value proposition for a lot of investors. But I think that if you combine the form factor with the price, with the fact that you can't really store your data locally, I think that this is a really cool piece of hardware. It just doesn't do a whole lot for what we were hoping to do with it, but yeah, I think as a general EEG experimentation tool, it's solid. And if you could get your data off of it, I would encourage people to try it as like a Muse alternative, if you're going to be trying stuff in the office or whatever. But I think without the ability to get the data off, it's a very, very niche product application. On the other hand, congratulations to them for shipping it, for finalizing it, for doing the work, for sticking with it for 4 years, for delivering a finished product. And I hope that it does well in the market. I hope that they can find an audience for this productivity tool, and that it gets a good response. And I thought that it was just interesting to really look at this finished product, because a lot of us are excited about the N10 headphones. And so this certainly isn't it. And I think that this goes a long way towards explaining why the N10 headphones went with the cup heavy design rather than the headband design, because you can see like sample size of 1 to be sure, but it doesn't fit very well for me. And so yeah, I mean, a really cool. I was discussing with Lisa earlier. I think this kind of is in the original spirit of Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Like this is what we were hoping to get out of that, which is devices that wouldn't exist for cool new niche applications and whatever. And I really think it's fantastic to see that they've finalized it. And I have to admit that the software that they put together for the work tracking is pretty slick. I just think it's very purpose built for what they're looking to do with it.
Yeah, I definitely know on my end, I care about audio quality and like the spatialized audio type stuff a lot for gaming and also for music, because when you use things like uh, binaural music and recordings and stuff, it's very important to have a decent pair of headphones that are maybe not reference or studio like flat response,
Mm-hmm.
but something that's at least close enough that you can go online, find its audio curve, and tune it to be really, really good at what you need it to do. Whereas it seems like that would be very hard to do in the case of those. And also, they don't really look all that comfortable or stuff. Like a lot of like headphones, a big part of it is the design.
Right.
And like, would you wear these every day?
Right.
Like, I know for me, that's one reason I like my V-Mod, because I can get custom plates for the sides. They have multiple different cup sizes, pretty good audio quality. And that's also why I know a lot of people who like Sony or Sennheisers, because
Mm-hmm.
those have, for their price, almost always great audio quality and a slick design that people like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, the photos, I'm going to go ahead and share real quick. The photos, the updates that they've been doing have been phenomenal. And it's really, really cool to see, like, how this kind of works. So here is where they were doing their initial, the batch 2B test run. I'm in batch 3, this 2500 run that was fully assembled in April. And I received the unit in late May, early June. So yeah, this is the assembly process. As you can see, you've got someone actually making the electrodes and the headbands and the so on. Here is the ear cup assembly. You can see the circuitry and the electronics. You can see this as well right here. This is the ear cup assembly. And then here is pretty much where they're almost done with the final assembly. Let's see. They've made some, they found an audio buzzing issue with the Bluetooth electronics. The audio team suggested a different ear cup method and so on. So I think that they have some off the, let's look at the next update, the March update on the blog. Let's see if they have the photos. All right, so it's going to be the April update where they have or the May update, I should say. Cool. Yeah, so here it is, the third batch. This is the box that they arrived in. It's very fancy. It looks professional. Here are the ear cups being assembled in China, only the most ergonomic seating for the workers, I will point out. And then we've got the upper bands right here, and this is the part that kind of sits on your head. And then, yes, here is the testing and packaging, including the snack packets. And here's where they do their final QA testing. Yes, and they shipped it out. It came in a nice box like that. And yeah, their fulfillment looked a lot like that. So yeah, very, very cool. I think that it's a little bit, just for what it is, if the audio quality was there, I think that this would be a big win. The biggest issue at that point would be the fit. But I think that as it is, if you combine the fit issues with the audio quality issues, I think it's a lukewarm recommendation. On the other hand, it's cool, and man, if you could get your data off of it, I would say like the audio quality considerations are probably not that significant. But without the data access, it has fairly limited use.
Yeah. I always wonder why some places don't just make some sort of retrofit add-on for already created headphones sometimes. Like if they can figure out how to isolate any interference, like that's a big issue I've heard about, is because the electromagnetic drivers affect the sensors to a degree. But just like find out what the most popular 2 headset designs are and make a add-on for those or something.
Well, yeah, Ryan, I was going to ask a question that you could probably answer though. So do you think it wouldn't necessarily even cost more money for them to have better quality audio part-wise, would it? I'm just curious why, if it was just like a design error that somebody made, or why they wouldn't just take parts that had as good a quality as the current standard and go from there. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that was the original pitch. But I have a feeling that somewhere in there, the price came to the point where, so they licensed these Onkyo components, and they basically, I think the original plan was to just straight up have an Onkyo headset with these EEG, very similar to what Ryan was describing. It was like if you took something off the shelf and you just jammed in some electrodes, then you don't have to re-engineer the whole thing. But it seems like somewhere in the process that might have changed, because I think the only thing that they're getting from Onkyo is the drivers, the actual little speaker in the cup, and maybe the headband design itself. But yeah, I don't know what changed. I have to assume that it was like a cost, like a licensing cost thing, where Onkyo's like, you got to give us like $5 million if you want us to like go the whole route or something. And so maybe they just improvised it. But that's my guess at it.
Like
is Onkyo a headphone company already?
They're
that
a bit. They do a lot of laptop audio. They do a lot of like drivers and stuff. Like if you have a high-end laptop, there's a high chance it has an Onkyo bass driver.
Right.
Like I know a lot of laptops that have it. Some headphones some lower to mid-range drive headphones that aren't things by like Sennheiser or Sony.
Right. I mean, there's a certain amount of name recognition with that company, right? That's why they're using it as sort of a selling point. And I got to tell you, I literally had the reaction when I saw what you were going to talk about, Alex, because I'm looking for headphones right now.
Right.
And I was about to buy probably this kind that, whatever kind it was that we used the other night, Ryan, because those, and then when I saw this, I thought, oh, maybe I'll get this.
Right.
And kill 2 birds, and I could actually do VR.
Right.
My headphones and the EKG going.
I know.
I was like getting psyched. And then you're like, audio quality sucks, no directional. And I'm like, wah, wah, because
in VR, they'd be
useless. But that's what I want. I'm already messing around with my Muse and my VR headset at once, which of course there's room for it. It's ridiculous, but I'm trying to do it.
Right.
And so anything that merges stuff, would be great. So I predict that somebody with more money and better connections is going to rip these guys right off and put something out in no time that has good audio and the EEG and makes it open for people to download their own data, because that's just silly. And just swipe these guys out of the running probably in a year or two.
Yeah. So
yes.
there are a couple that have been in the works, because this idea of combining EEG and headphones, or actually just biosensors in headphones, has been around for years. But
I just turned off the camera for a sec.
Lisa, you're muted right now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wonder when that happens, that these kinds of sort of like bad decisions are made about something like cutting quality on audio or not having a way for someone to record their own audio, and how those decisions get made. Does it happen like halfway through manufacturing when it's just like it's that or nothing, you know, so they had to like cut the corner, or you know, whatever. You just wonder, because this is basically giving you a prototype for someone to rip you off, because no one's going to buy it. And I can't think of anything else that's going to happen with this thing.
Yeah. So like some people that like couple of us here know is Neurable. Neurable was at first making pretty much what the Gallia head strap was. But they were noticing that the overall price and use case wasn't there yet, so they started making some headphones that are EEG headphones like this, but with more channels to a degree around the ear cups, kind of following the idea of a thing called is it the C10 or Alex, you will remember it.
I think they call it the 1020.
The 1020, that like little strip you put around your ear.
Oh no, I never remember the name of that that little ear strap
yeah,
thing.
Because that's what I think of when I'm like, I want EEG headphones. I'm going to get one of those straps, modify a pair of ear cups to have those, and then cool, I have 10 channels of EEG on my headphones for like $200, and it's open source. To a degree. Like, what are those? Oh god, I'm going to find them so I can.
Wait, are you saying there's already something that can do the EEG that could be used with any headphones?
Pretty much. And then there's better headphones possibly coming out with EEG. So, yeah, Alex, if you want to talk about something for a minute, I'm going to go find this info.
Sure. Let's talk about the other product. Lisa, you very correctly guessed that somebody else was going to come in here and do it with a little more money. And you'll be surprised to hear that it's our friends at Neurable doing it with a little bit more money. So here is this campaign. It is still available. You can, in fact, get yours for $199, half off the price. Incidentally, I think those Eno headphones were at $299, but now that the N10 pricing is clear at $399, they raised it to match, which whatever, it seems reasonable. So yes, here are the headphones.
How do you know about the audio quality of these? Is it using a brand that people are familiar with or something, so we know?
They claim that they've got good audio quality. Let's see. They have it in one of their things. Here we go. Audio quality. Stereo Class D headphone amplifier with 98 decibel signal to noise ratio. What that actually is going to mean, I don't know, but it seems like they're saying that they spent some money on the headphone amp, and that they bought a high quality one. Now, again, I don't think a headphone amp in and of itself is going to determine whether it sounds good. There's several components, including like the driver and the EQ and the DAC and all that other stuff that they're going to use.
Okay, so we don't know because we don't know exactly.
We don't know, but they say it's going to be good.
Ha! Okay.
And I mean, I was hoping that the Eno ones would also be excellent, but it was, you know, just one of those things where it didn't seem to make it through manufacturing all the way. What I will say is cool about these is here are the EEG electrodes. These little white electroconductive strips.
In the headphone padding?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So same kind of concept as the, you know, the little brass receptors on the Enos. But yeah, this way you don't have those fit issues with the headband. You don't have the whole, you know, different people's heads have different curvatures thing. As long as you're making contact with the ear, presumably you should have good quality.
So I have a question, general neurotech kind of question. So I've been using my Muse, which has that sensor band that goes across behind the ears.
Yes.
These headphones are basically putting sensors in a circular pattern and picking completely different points, except maybe there's a behind the ear that matches up.
Yeah.
So there's that many different ways to get this information off the brain is my question. It gets
different data, different types of data. So this would not give you the same type of information.
Oh, they're not both EEG. The Muse and this are not.
They're both EEG, but your brain only very specific parts map to certain things. Like focus, like these headphones would not exactly always be that great for tracking certain things like motor function or eye-related stuff where you either need like the very back or the very front of your head. But the thing these would be great for doing is understanding how audio affects your brain.
If you can see the diagram.
It's not overlapping is the point. It's different data. If I were to get something like this and then have my Muse, it's not like another thing that does the same thing. It's actually a different thing collecting different data.
Yeah. The data would be very similar to what you would get on the TP9 and TP10 electrodes on the Muse. Because they're only like a 1/4 inch behind the ear. But what you would get off your AF7 and AF8 electrodes would be completely different than what you would get off those. So I would say like
additional data then. The Muse does plus others.
It does half of what the Muse does.
Oh, the Muse actually does more.
Yeah, so the Muse, if you kind of, I don't know, let's say 1020 sideways. Let's look at 1020. Okay. Let's see if we can find one. Goodness. All right. Let's see if we can find one that's horizontal. Yeah, cool. Okay. So if you look at the diagrams, right? What they've basically done is they've taken the head, turned it into a grid, and so you have these kind of locations. Different ones use different terminology, but the front of the forehead, this FP1, FP2 on this diagram, that's something that you get off the Muse that you're not going to get off most other devices. And that's that prefrontal cortex, 2 sensors in the front, meditation style. It's really useful. The other place that the Muse samples from is right behind the ear. And that's the TP9 and TP10 electrodes. So if you were to, let's just, we'll scribble on this. The Muse, Let's try to pick a thicker. All right. So the Muse would basically sit like this.
Okay.
And the only two places that you're going to get data from on the Muse are in the front and behind the ear electrode. So if you were to if we were to draw the N10 on this instead of the Muse, what you would see is like a radial pattern out from the ear.
Okay, that's just is it different things in the pattern, or is it just the same kind of thing all the way around?
It's a really it seems to be a universal shape, and I'm not familiar with this. Let's go look at the video. All right, here we go. It's got the montage. So here is how they've got. Let's go back a second before we get the wavy. All right, cool. So here's how they've got these electrodes set up. And there's a cluster of, what is that, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there's 8 per thing. And there's...
Or 9.
Is it 9?
Yeah, but one's probably a reference. So
I count 8, but my counting isn't what it used to be.
There's 4 on each side, then 1 at the bottom.
Oh, at the bottom that we can't see or something?
No. Like, if you count how many are on each cup, there are 9.
Oh, we were counting
9 clusters
across each cluster.
Right.
That was the 8 we were getting. So I see. We're counting 2 different things. Great.
Okay. Yeah. You've got, right. Okay. So we've got 8 individual electrodes times 9 locations on each ear cup. Oh. So, you know, it's like, I have to admit, it's embarrassing. 72 individual traces per device, and I think I remember them saying something like 36 electrodes. Let's see if we can find the 16 soft and invisible EEG sensors. So if we're getting 72
reference it, so I'm guessing on each cup one of those sets of lines is a reference, and then each set of 7 is probably an electrode.
Yeah, so okay, so you're getting 8 quasi electrodes per ear thing, and then you have 1 reference per ear thing.
Yeah.
And I guess that despite all of these traces, if we're dividing 16 sensors to 2 ear cups, that means that we've got 8, which really means each one of these is a sensor.
Yeah.
It takes 8 to be a sensor? Is that
Yeah, exactly. So it's like 64 traces per ear cup.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I really haven't seen too much hardware with this design. So I don't know, is the data all that different that you need to sample it in 64 spots? Do you get anything much out of this trace that's different than this trace that's different than this trace? Who's to say? But I'm guessing that this is just a mix of like redundancy, fault tolerance, noise rejection, et cetera, et cetera.
And ear fitment, probably, considering hair might be in it too.
They'll get the whole circle to get the one reading they need, basically.
Right, exactly. I think that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. Also, I found it's called CEG grid. And let me share my screen for a sec.
Sure. I'll take off. There you go, Mr. Ryan.
So here is actually someone who's wearing headphones, and so this.
Oh, I'm not sure you're sharing yet.
It shows I'm sharing.
Try unsharing and resharing because I might not have turned mine off yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Share screen. Share. Tell me if that comes up now.
Still blank.
Okay, let me just load.
Yep.
Hey, yes, I see it now. Looking good, sir. Although we don't have your audio, I don't think. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, you're just.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, so sorry. Okay, so there's a number of pictures. This actually might have a nearly identical electrode placement. It has, though this has more electrodes, 4, 8, 10 electrodes per ear, though I'm guessing 1 or 2 are references. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So
Ooh, question. Is that called the CEE grid system? That system with the numbers on the head? That's the CEE grid system?
no.
Oh.
The other one's called the 1020 diagram.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Okay.
the regular mapping onto it is called 1020. But
okay. And what's this CEE grid? It was just on the thing before. See
that's
right there.
the name of the device. The name of this device is called
a CEE grid.
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a annoying, terribly like not useful name.
Yeah, I can handle it as long as I know what it is. I needed a name for the other thing though too, because I can go look that up later. Because that looks like there's a whole bunch to absorb there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
But one cool thing is it works with things like the OpenBCI hardware, and you can easily fit headphones on it. And people have been testing things like identifying auditory attention with the CG grid versus a high density data cap. And it seems like they were able to find almost as accurate or maybe even more accurate data using this compared to a full like 64 channel or how many channel, looks like maybe 16 channel high density. Oh wait, no, that's wow. That's like 64 channel. But yeah, that pretty much means that for certain use cases, the CG grid is more accurate for certain things than a 64 channel full head EG headset. And a lot of the use for these is related to hearing stuff. Yeah, a lot of people are just doing studies on auditory attention and using it for like focus and stuff. But yeah, so this is definitely something people can look into. I don't remember how much they cost though. Yeah. But it's a cool option and you can use it with your own headphones, which is pretty nice. Yeah. This is what I think Neurable is trying to compete with to a degree, because this has pretty similar use cases medically. But their system seems like it will be a bit more polished. Yeah. I still want to get some of these because then I can use it with any pair of headphones. Okay, I think I'm done sharing for now, but...
Thanks for that. And if you could drop the link to that paper you were looking at.
Oh, yeah.
Just so I can bring that up. This all looks like great kind of background stuff. It's the kind of stuff where I won't understand it all, but I can make a list of questions, and it answered a lot of other questions I had. So thanks a lot, both of you. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing those, Ryan. They're always neat to see. And so these are the N10 headphones. You can see that this is a much more well-funded team that is very familiar with EEG and seems to be working with a very familiar, robust hardware partner. They also have a fairly sizable. So you have Ramses, then you have the VP of product, you have Adam, the co-founder. So now you're at 3. Then you've got your VP of engineering and Ramses, so you're at 4. And then you got a group of 5 people, and you got another group of 5 people. You got another group of 5 people. So you're at about 20 people in total on this effort, which is certainly non-trivial. Definitely not like a 2 or 3 person effort. But yeah, I think that this is going to be really neat. I hope to see. Now, the good news is, while they have not committed to this, Neurable seems to be indicating that they're okay with you streaming your data off of this device with LSL. And I think that would be super fantastic. So whether they end up going with that or not, I hope that they do with LSL in particular. But as long as they give you access to your data, which they do seem like they're willing to do, I think that that's a huge point in their favor. So you do have to wait. Let's see. Do they have any time frame?
May
okay, a year.
2022.
And with hardware, I usually add a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Because I just never. So let's say by a year from now, in the summertime, you should expect to receive your N10 headphones. Which, anyway, yeah, pretty cool. They've done a few revs, and I think they have some breakdowns on what they're hoping to do. But I think the fact that there is no rigid electrodes up top, they're not relying on the ear band for fit. You've got, what seems to be a very friendly and accessible hardware design. You've got the Qualcomm chip you got the Bluetooth 5.1. There's a microphone array. I have no idea how decent that is, but you could conceivably use that for experiments. I don't know if the Eno has a mic, but I want to say it does not, because I don't see anything of that nature. I see an audio plug and I see a charging plug, and that's it. I don't see a microphone port anywhere. And they also don't mention it on their hardware. So yeah, like having a mic would be nice for certain kinds of research experiments, like the audio P300s we were just talking about. And the 12-hour battery charge seems very good. Like you would want something like that. 500 samples, great. Save raw data with a real-time API right here. This is sweet. Impedance check, real-time continuous. That's good because they found a way to measure their impedance. hopefully without injecting too much electricity, because I can't imagine they'd be doing it as real-time continuous as they did. So I'm guessing they're going by resistance. And then they've got a coprocessor in the device. So yeah, here's all that stuff. Circuit board by Qualcomm, high quality audio drivers from a mystery source, and the battery assembly and all that. So
it also said it has active noise canceling, which is interesting.
Yeah, a lot of these use the mic to sort of generate a reverse sine wave based on whatever ambient stuff they do get. So yeah, I could see that as being part of the feature set of the microphone. And here you can see the evolution. So from soft caps to the wearable sensing DSi 24 off the shelf, to the custom DSi 7 with colorful plastics, to the new N10.
Actually, the 2018 one, I think, is their EG custom stuff.
Yeah. So wearable sensing was still the manufacturer that built it for them in their factory down in San Diego or whatever, where they do their assembly. But it was a licensed white label.
Oh, okay.
Wow. I don't know about you, but I want that one from 2011 with headphones sewn in.
Yeah,
that would be the most comfy one ever.
If you want, Jesus, not block. The Unicorn Hybrid Black. Yes. This is kind of like your modern version of that same thing. Yeah. So
ask and you shall receive.
Yes, right here you've got it. This is the kit that without the cap. So this is what the electrodes and the sensor look like. And yeah, you've got this. Let's see here, very fancy setup right there. You put the cap on. You get the holes for the electrodes. You put them in. And then you start doing your recordings, and that is the Unicorn Hybrid Black. Incidentally, they have released a brand new one, the undressed BCI, I guess if you call it that. But yeah, they have the
perfect.
Yes, they have the ear clips, they have the electrodes, and so if you don't want the cap, if you don't want to use it with their stuff, you can go with this configuration.
And I would just wear regular headphones with it in terms of
yeah, exactly.
It's so like the music in that way too. You hook up regular headphones with it and you're good.
Yeah, so the Hybrid Black is kind of like their cap-based form factor, and then this one is now if you want like an open BCI equivalent, but you want to use different hardware, they've got that now as well.
All right.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Like there is a fancy version of 2011 available.
Yeah. Oh, there is. All right. Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah.
So again, then asking the same question I asked before, just to go full circle here. This one has many more electrodes than the Muse.
Twice as many.
Okay. Is it just picking up again like more of what the Muse already gets, or is it different stuff in addition to the Muse that I'm getting with this solution?
It's a very good question. So I think the best way to describe what you're talking about is signal quality. And
I'm actually asking about if they're measuring the same things too, or different things.
Well, you have the flexibility, like if you look at an open BCI setup, which is the same type of thing as the Unicorn Hybrid Black.
Yeah.
The cool thing about these is that you can either use one of these pre-printed devices like this, and then you have some flexibility on where you put the electrodes, because there's lots of holes that you can use and so on.
Oh, I get it now. So the whole point, you can put it wherever you want on the grid. Okay, I got it. Okay.
And so you get a little bit of that with this cap design, because they have some pre-drilled holes, but if you really wanted to, nothing stops you from getting a pair of scissors and cutting out a new electrode divot wherever you want it. So with these soft caps or with these other ones, you have some flexibility. Like when you're just buying the here's their electrode cap thing, right? These holes are pre-cut, so you're kind of stuck with this, but you can
I could just take a cap probably and put the electrodes through the knitting almost and put it where I wanted, as long as it would hold, right?
Yeah. And so with all of these devices, you're really just talking about a circuit board of some sort that collects the data and sends it somewhere or stores it or whatever. Okay. And so like for OpenBCI, this is what it looks like. For Unicorn, it looks like this, but it's the same thing. I mean, a circuit board with some electrode leads. And then in the case of the OpenBCI, you have to plug in the electrode. So you have to kind of know, like, okay, orange is going to be on pin 1. And then like black is going to be on pin 2 and green is going to be on pin 3. So you write all that down and then you put them on like where you want them on your head. And that's how you have complete flexibility as to where you put them. And so these have
keeping track
right
very well, then they will have meaningful.
Exactly. Stuff. Or if you make a cap or some kind of pre-assembled montage,
that's already
yeah, then you'll have some level of consistency just because the fabric is going to put it in the same place, type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in both cases you just get this little Bluetooth type device that streams from this whole assembly to your PC, and then you record whatever data you wanna record with it. So there you go.
And like being able to put sensors where you want is very useful, since different parts of the head are good at getting different types of brain data. Like they're all getting EEG signals, but those signals are good at different things to a degree when it comes to data analysis of what you're trying to learn. That's why, like, for VR, everyone puts them in the back of the head, and for audio stuff, they put them around the ear often. And I'm trying to remember
motor cortex is top of the head.
Type of things. There aren't that many that are good at front of the head because of the artifacting, but what would be good for front of head EEG in terms of the data you could collect?
Well, this DSI 24 in this very photo is probably like the highest quality EEG you can get outside of like full-on clinical research systems. So and I'm talking there like the 300,000 plus EGI stuff. But if you look at like the DSI 24, it's got this band up front with several sensors. So this gives you 24 electrode locations. But it's fairly expensive. You would only use this for sort of university research or corporate research or whatever.
It doesn't look cool or nice or friendly.
The data quality is phenomenal, but I agree. It looks.
How much is this thing? What are we talking?
Oh boy, north of a new car type of pricing.
You mean like more than $20,000?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Check it.
So, but not all of these devices are that expensive. Like,
wasn't it one of the wearable sensing devices when you had me test?
Yes, it was. Yes, exactly. That was it. So you were testing the DSI 7 system. Yeah. So this one got us decent coverage. but it didn't get as down low on the frontal as the Muse would get. So the interesting thing about Muse is that it's very hard to get prefrontal unless you've got some strap on the front of the head. So their hardware design is actually quite good for what they were trying to do in terms of like capture meditation. It's interesting that as a $300 device with all the trade-offs that come with it, you know, the Muse gets a location that a lot of other devices really don't get very easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then there is now this hybrid EEG FNIR, which is really cool. They've been revamping their electrodes, so now you've got sort of this ring of FNIRs outside their sensor, and it kind of creates this even larger array.
Head
so
crab.
Yeah. So here you have just the sensor itself, and then here you have the sensor with the FNIRs emitters on top of it.
Yeah, I so much of that stuff I really can't wait till they shrink it down massively, because like pretty much I want a EG FNIRS combo sensor the size of current small electrodes.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, this company did a phenomenal job of making like the highest quality dry electrode that you can get, and you know, doing all the engineering trade-offs that they needed to get that level of data quality. So yeah, if you're looking for kind of like the ultimate dry system, this is one of the few. Their DSI 24 with this big robust strap on the front, I would say get you good prefrontal. And then obviously if you use like EGI, EEG, electrical geodesics, if you use something like Morgan's old products, then you'll get these kind of caps, which are very, very robust. You can go 64, 128, or 256, and these are hand sewn. I wonder if they show you just the caps.
Yeah. So go to the research. Oh wait,
okay.
yeah,
Sorry,
one.
No. Research products.
It's not the regular sensor net. I think the one below it, the geodesic.
Yes, the geodesic sensor net. Here you go.
Yeah.
And I think there's a photo of Morgan wearing one of these as well. And in fact, I've got one of these in my house.
From, Morgan has it as one of his images on a lot of his stuff.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Yep. Yeah.
There's Morgan wearing the EGI net. So yeah, this is kind of like the high end of it, and this is what you need, though. You see how intrusive this is for good prefrontal coverage. You're not going to be doing anything else when you're wearing this kind of thing if you want good prefrontal.
Yeah.
You're gonna look funny. Have you guys seen the unicorn pangolin?
Oh yeah, the pangolin.
Or I'm sorry, the G-Tech pangolin. So this right here is like the next level up with these with these wacky electrodes. But here's what it looks like when you're actually wearing it. It's pretty intense.
Oh, that's what. Oh God,
quite
I can't.
Fashionable, actually.
That outfit is. Oh God, Anouk I can't remember her name, but she's like one of the most famous like bio-organic like smart clothing people.
Right. And but it look at it all wired up. I mean, that is a very, very slick looking. I mean, each one's got a little USB lead. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, there's pangolin dress.
See if we get like a name or
Yeah, it's this probably
Institute for Anouk Whiprecht.
Yeah,
there you
that's
go.
it. I
That's
met
yeah.
her last one of the recent times she came to SF. She did a presentation about the pangolin. Yeah. Dress. But I think she made this dress before I think the device came out. The
Right.
pangolin headset came out. And but the thing I remember talking to like Morgan about is I'm annoyed that they're using micro USB.
Come on, get that old junk out of there. We want USB-C or nothing.
Yeah, pretty much because of the pluggability issues micro B has.
I just want to point out that this is really just an elaborate version of those Nekomimi headphones that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Look at it. It's all it really is. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm saying this is the Nekomimi XL.
Yes. And I think it looks pretty cool on head.
I agree.
I mean, the bees want their hive back, but
yeah. But
I would wear that to a party very easily.
Yeah, you look all right at a rave wearing this. You know what I mean? And people would be okay. You got
you could control the rave. You could control the entire setup.
yeah, you could. Yeah.
Okay. While we're saying that, this is actually the kind of thing that I'm thinking about doing in VR. Okay.
Yeah.
Have some kind of thing where you're controlling the experience from your, BCI device while you're in VR. That it is actually the model that I've got in my head that I'm trying to put together. Just because we're joking about it, and I'm just like, hey, wait a minute, that's what I'm actually trying to do.
No, it's cool, right? And I mean, all of this stuff is super interesting. I don't think that any of this is a joke in the sense of like a ridiculous idea. In a year or two, we're gonna have all of this. I think it's just amazing, really, to watch it happen.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
The one problem with like the pangolin style headset and a lot of these really nice density ones is hair. Yeah. So
everyone is bald in these videos, which you can see.
Yeah, this headset requires you to probably shave your head pretty well,
I just want to say there's a reason why all I do most of the time is put my hair up like this in a bun now. Because even though I took the time to grow it out over the pandemic, because it messes everything up all the time, everything I'm trying to do with my headsets.
It really is hilarious that, not having hair is definitely not an upside for most things, but as I've been doing this EEG research over the last few years, it's like the greatest superpower, is like, I'm just bald. There's nothing to it. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to get good sensor contact. I will. And yet, if it's a rigid form factor, like you saw with my, skull not being perfectly symmetrical, that still doesn't mean I have a good contact. So it's pretty funny. But here, I'm going to turn this off, and I'm sure this is going to blow out.
That actually was a question I had, because that's, in a way, that's a deal breaker. I mean, that's a design flaw. If you've got your sensors in such a way that the head has to be curved a certain way for it to fit right? That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why the last week we were looking at 2 weeks ago at the OpenBCI Galia. And they added some some range of motion, precisely so that they can get the electrodes fitting right on people's heads. So you need some kind of springs, you need some kind of utility. And incidentally, if we look at, I'm going to share the screen for a moment. Halo Neuro is in bad shape. I believe that they're bankrupt. Yes, will be discontinued. Yes, rest in peace. Halo Neuro.
I have to say, headphones are like the startup killer.
I mean, everybody's trying to find the iPhone type use case where, you know, it's going to drive adoption. People are buying headphones for remote work, for work from home, for whatever. Yeah, exactly. They wear them on the planes. And so I think that these manufacturers are drawn to this headphone price model. But just like you're saying, they're
also
drawn to it.
Happened, right? I mean, happened where it was an inferior quality product in terms of delivering audio.
Mm-hmm.
But the marketing was so good that everybody bought them anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
So
mean,
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you look at, absolutely. I mean, Beats sold so many headphones at the $300 and $500 price ranges.
And yet you could buy $200 headphones that had better audio quality.
Exactly.
During the entire time.
Exactly. And so this is another one that was kind of interesting because do they show? Yeah. So these also had this like spiked crazy assembly that you had to like wear and wash and all this stuff. I don't know.
But this isn't EG. This is G10s. So.
Well, it's
different than everything else. What do you mean?
This one would zap electricity into your brain. It wasn't for monitoring. It was
writing.
It was stimulation. Yeah.
Oh, whoa! Whoa. We haven't even been talking about that shit. What?
Oh yeah. So this was TDCS, I believe, which is transcranial direct current stimulation. And yeah, you just like your DC car battery. You put these electrodes up and you use your DC 9-volt battery to put electricity into your brain.
So like those people that used to like lick 9-volt batteries and shock, like it's just so what's the point again? Is it a lower dose so it doesn't actually shock you, or obviously like
the premise of Halo Neuro is that
was it memory or focus? I can't remember, but there's like one of the there was a talk a while back that was about the different uses for TDCS, TACS, and that stuff.
So their particular business model was very specific, and it was like for your motor cortex, when you're going to learn a new movement, you need a certain amount of reps to get that. So like if you're a soccer player and you want to learn a new kind of kick, or if you're an MMA athlete, you want to learn a new kind of thing, or a tennis player, you want to learn a new move. The idea here was that you would put this device on while you're training, and it would increase the rate of your improvement. So like, they were articulating claims of about 10%, 8%, whatever. And so the idea is, let's say if it would take you 2 hours to master some new thing you were doing, you could shave 10% of that time off by using Halo Sport. So they really focused on this motor cortex firing inhibition thing. And so their claim was, to fire in novel ways, your neurons need to overcome the background electrical field. And that there's like, a good way to think of it is sort of like, your neurons need to jump over a certain height bar, like a high jump, to begin a new activation. So if you're trying to learn a task and you're here and the bar is here and the bag is here, so like if the bar is here and you're trying to learn something new, you can't clear it. You're not learning anything new. It's not happening. It's too hard. The inhibition is whatever. So by injecting the current, you lower the position of the bar for your neurons to fire in novel ways. And so by bringing it down here, you make it easier for the neurons to clear the jump into something new that they haven't done before. And that speeds up your learning process. That was pretty much their pitch.
Thing that you haven't done before? Play basketball well? What is the thing? Now you're going to be able to play guitar when you couldn't memorize a song before? I mean, because there's missile. Is this directly affecting muscle memory, or what are they suggesting here?
Yeah, especially movement memory. So like let's say you're learning to play the guitar, okay, and let's say you're struggling with your chord progressions. And when I say struggling, I just mean you can't make your fingers go into the positions that you want because you're still
it's a situation I know very well.
Oh, okay, perfect. Right. And so the idea is, if you're learning piano or drums or guitar or something and you're struggling with the movements, you can't place your fingers and your hands exactly where you want them.
Go fast enough. Yeah.
Right. You wear this while you're practicing, and it makes it easier for your motor cortex to learn that new thing. Because it has less resistance to overcome. So you put it on while you're practicing your chord progression, you wear it for 20 minutes, and the idea is that 20 minutes of chord progression with this device is equivalent to, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes of doing it without it.
No, has that been proven?
Yeah. There's science.
They published some papers that claim
science? Does that... That sounds a little ambiguous.
I think the science might be a little ambiguous.
Party. All of the companies that release
are selling it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can't blame them for that. They got to let you know why the hell you might want to buy it. I mean...
Yeah.
Okay, well, we don't know if this is true or not. So I shouldn't go run out and buy one so I can...
Well, you can't because they're out of business.
Oh, they're out of business.
Yeah,
okay.
It sucks. I know, right? But they just went bankrupt.
They're either never did work or were ahead of their time. We'll never know.
Or they were hoping to get bought by somebody big and they didn't.
They were probably hoping.
I'm just curious about this theory of that electricity can somehow put the brain in a state where it's easier to learn guitar chords and
stimulation. All right, well, let's see if we can find...
Been accepted, or are we way out there? Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
It's not that far out there, considering transcranial stimulation methods are now approved for at least one form of Alzheimer's, like not rehabilitation, but slowing Alzheimer's down.
That's a completely different application.
Yeah. There's like 4 or 5. I'm not talking
about electricity on the brain in general. I'm asking about the specific thing where you learn either, for instance, a fingering thing or a dance step or something where you're learning. Like half the things I do are that. Okay. Yeah. So if this is a thing that is real, that is worth looking into.
I need to
trying to figure out, because I mean, I've got dance steps, I've got guitar stuff, songs I'm trying to learn, all sorts of things where this could be useful if it's true.
Yeah, please send me that.
Well, there is.
Send me that ski one, because I can ask the athletes directly with that ski one.
Perfect.
Because I know people at the U.S. ski team.
Okay, now so there you go. You have to be wearing that thing while you're doing the ski jump, or what?
I think a lot of it's beforehand.
I think it's
priming.
Okay, so you kind of warm it up. Now, that's why I'm asking seriously, because it makes complete sense to me. I have all sorts of stuff I do to get myself hyped up and in a good space so I can then sit down and do a bunch of work.
Right.
Like that. So if there's a way of sort of, hurrying that process up by being able to just zap my brain for 20 minutes and getting to that state,
right.
It makes sense that it could work. I have that whole too good to be true feeling washing over me. So I just wanted to double check where it was on the science.
There's a couple of things to mention. So the first is the science on the motor cortex being involved with learning stuff, valid? I think it is. I think is your motor cortex the thing that, helps you learn a new violin move or, playing a keyboard and mouse game? Yeah, that part we're sure about. Can you use electrical stimulation to induce changes in the brain? That also is very stable and solid. Like we've seen it with treatments and depression and some other stuff. It gets shakier and shakier as you go further, but you can use electricity to induce changes into the brain. That part is legit too.
Okay, as long as it's a light enough electricity that we know can't do any damage in a way you've got nothing to lose.
That's where all of this gets interesting. Okay, so the first part is now taking these two claims and merging them together, that that there is this inhibition of firing that you need to artificially lower by using electrical stimulation, and that this will improve training. That's where you start to get into this, now is that true question, right? Like so it's separately, these things are true, are accurate, but the combining them and saying this will improve your training, this will speed up your learning, that's the part that we don't know yet. Halo had an interesting thing in the market because they felt like they were going after like this physical training. And if you look at the video that they show, like here is a ski jumper trying to learn the jumping motion in the gym. And I guess he's just trying to get to the point where he jumps higher. And so like, this is clearly in training, and you have a limited amount of time to practice in a day. You have a limited, amount of things. So I get the concept of, introducing TACS to do this. The things that I'll say are, in terms of, was it safe and reliable? The thing that I found very interesting when I went to the X-Tech conference to look at these a few years ago in San Francisco, they did not deliver consistent electricity because of manufacturing issues. The other thing was they didn't have a way to check for battery charge level, and batteries will give different voltages at different charges. Yeah, exactly. So the issue was like if you had a manufactured unit that didn't generate strong electricity and it had like an old battery, you would get almost no electricity. And then some of them, people reported stuff like, it feels like it's melting my brain. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to hear that when someone just put on my device, like that doesn't sound good. And so the fact that like you had this inconsistent voltage, so then it gets even hazier. Like the brain is an electroconductive bag of meat, basically, right?
In a liquid.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, like it's
asking because I can see myself, and if I liked it,
right,
then I would probably do it a lot and start doing it all the time. So, brain melting isn't something if there's LSD isn't involved, I don't want to hear about brain melting.
So luckily there are much better products that are careful about delivering electrical stimulation on the market. And one of the things I was going to mention is there is a gaming electrical stimulation device that is on the Kickstarter right now, made by the cool folks at Plato.
Yeah.
If you remember Balder from the Hack Night. Yeah. So really cool. So here, I'll show you where here is Play-Doh game. Okay. So this is a Indiegogo campaign that is currently running, where you get this TACS stimulator. And as you can see, it's not on the motor cortex, it's on the prefrontal. So you've got these electrodes right there. But this is a much higher quality electrical stimulator. So this has a circuit that measures the exact voltage that it's delivering. It has incredibly precise timing. Something like this. There's also the existing product, which is Play-Doh Work, Play-Doh Science. So this right here is the typical TACS electrical stimulation. And as you can see, this one's also here to deliver prefrontal. So one of the big things with electrostim, and this is why I was hoping to show this, is you really don't want to just inject current. You also want to like take it back out. And so one of the things that's really interesting about this is like, you know, if this is, pardon my drawing, right? If this is the top of your head and this is your brain in there, and you've got this device that's kind of got these two leads, you get interesting effects. Like if you're injecting here and you're hoping that what's going to happen is the current will travel here to the exit point. Sometimes you'll get these, you know, where it'll just follow the side of the head type of thing, or it'll go right through the middle of it instead of where you're injecting it. So there's a lot of interesting things to think about with electrical cranial stimulation. But yeah, I would say the Halo product is not worth experimenting with. But if you were going to mess with electrical stimulation, I think that the Plato products are much more of a interesting starting point.
Yeah, I hope they come back and talk sometime soon about the gaming one.
Oh yeah, I imagine.
We still don't know. We still don't know what the effect of the brain is if you're using this thing all the time for your gaming or whatever.
I think in general you would. All of these devices have this idea that you're going to use them for 20 to 30 minutes and that you're doing it sort of to induce plasticity or change into your brain.
20 or 30 minutes a day? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that. Right. Or maybe up to like an hour a day.
So there is some general understanding that the voltage being emitted by these machines is low enough to be a safe amount of whatever it is on your brain if you'd use it as recommended, let's say.
Yes. And
you feel comfortable with that. That seems to check out with you in terms of there being enough general understanding of the electricity and its effect on the brain and what these involve and all that kind of stuff that it checks out to you guys.
Well, that's an excellent question. I personally don't wear TACS or TDCS devices because of the question marks around them. But I also don't have any problems like doing experiments with people that do wear them. Like I don't think that there's anything questionable or dangerous or unethical or anything like that. TACS,
people who will do it. Right.
I think it's a
like
personal
implants, right? It's like I'm not going to be sticking that woodware right in my head the first day it's out.
Yeah.
But it's fine with me. Yeah, it's fine with me.
Track of what it does to their brain. Okay.
And I don't mean that to sound like I'm in any way like against it or concerned about it or whatever. I just look at it like, you know, for me, why not let someone else experiment with it type of thing? You know, I would hate to have any kind of negative effect. However,
one brain, you know.
Right. There are a lot of labs that do a lot of electrical stimulation and get a lot of really good results. And that it seems to be very beneficial for scenarios where people, like, let's say they have depression. They want to change kind of like the wiring, the signaling of their brain a little bit to get out of that depression rut.
But that's different. That's a different implementation than the kind we were talking about in terms of stimulating learning, right? That's
absolutely
more like an electronic lobotomy almost, or
but it's not like that. No,
bad metaphor, but in the sense of using electricity to have a calming effect when it's used on certain parts of the brain over time.
Right.
If they get, in a way, they've got less to lose because they're very unhappy with life anyway, so it might actually bring them, you know, but in terms of like, we don't know certainly about the long-term effects. It would be impossible to know, for instance, about the long-term effects. So right now you are proceeding with caution, and I feel like I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is really cool. Like, I mean, like Neuralink, that will be doing direct in-brain stimulation at much lower voltages and whatnot, because one problem with these external ones is our brain is inside the skull, which keeps a lot of stuff out. And that means we often have to use higher and less accurate dosing compared to if you had electrodes in the brain.
Right.
Like, that's the whole thing about Neuralink being able to write to your brain is through brain stimulation in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool tech, but it is still like there are like
no write permissions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's like 9 types of brain electrical stimulation. Like there's AC stimulation, DC stimulation, magnetic. There's pulsed. Then there's like noise injection, and there's like
they can do directed ultrasound.
Yeah, directed ultrasound. There's like
there's
8 or
stuff.
9 different types of brain stimulation tech, and like their comparisons and stuff aren't that well understood because almost no one has all of these tech pieces next to each other to understand them. Like other than the the geodesics G10 or whatever, G300, that device can do multiple different types of stimulation and recording. Yeah, that's like the only device I'd currently trust with stimulation, because it can also do recording and is built in a way that it can do much more accurate dosing than a lot of these, like oh yeah, stick a 9-volt battery in it, it should be fine.
I think that was really the issue with the Halo neuroscience thing was, you know, they did this engineering like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was just a different time, different market, different level of maturity. The STIM technology was much earlier as well. So, you know, I think it was a good effort, and I thought it was neat that they went right into the physical athlete route, just because that was kind of like a tangible thing. With most of these devices, it's hard to like look at a developer and articulate how much better their focus was. But if you can say someone jumps 3 centimeters higher with our device than they do without it, that's tangible. There's no question there. And so, yeah, unfortunately, you won't be able to buy the Halo Neuro device as it is no longer for sale.
Yeah, like I am sad because like there are a lot of good results with things like brain stimulation for training either motor memory, physical memory, like being able to recall certain things, which is part of the reason that a lot of interest in Alzheimer's is using stimulation to slow the progression. But
like, to give you a sense of how niche this market is, only 3,000 people have viewed that Halo video on the US ski team performance.
Yeah.
So like, that's just not a lot of people looking for these kinds of things, exploring these kinds of things. You know, it's and that video came out 3 years ago. So that's just not, that's like 1,000 views a year. It's a really tiny community.
It'll be some athlete that does really well and talks about how they did that, and that's all it'll take.
Yeah, like if someone like Ninja from Fortnite was using one of these devices, I'm sure it would sell quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious that they got a lot of good athletes like the US ski team, and I never knew that they used the Halo device, and like the US ski fu, like they tell you what hardware they're using usually. Like it should have been something I feel I would have heard about. Like I mean, they do sometimes keep stuff under wraps just to
I'm
stay
sure they
ahead
talk
of
about it until after
competition.
they competed, right? Because
Yeah.
but it really, Olympic athletes they already kind of chew them up and spit them out. So they're not worried about some electrical experimental treatment if it might get us another medal. It's like I can totally see it being used in that environment, and it's just like God knows what else. They're not allowed to take steroids. They test them for steroids, right?
Oh yeah, they test them for a lot of things.
But because I could see it being an issue in the future of whether or not this is allowed to be used in training, because you could get an unfair advantage if you didn't feel like putting your brain in a frying pan, but the other team is getting some kind of unfair advantage. I can see all these things until they do it safely and everybody does it, right? It's just it's like one of those.
I mean,
but it's really interesting to me that it was used at all by people that were competing, and that they talked about it. But again, I mean, like, a medalist wins like every race or whatever, and then they're like, I mean, because it's risky too, right? Talking about that.
Yeah.
Everybody by 1 billion%, and then used this treatment and was public about it. I could see that being an uproar because they'll use anything to try to
right. Well, I think
you or whatever, right?
Yeah,
with the swimsuits from Speedo during Michael Phelps's amazing performances, that was the exact controversy, right? Like the new swimsuits let people swim like 3 to 5% faster, so they're going to break all the old records.
They're hydrophobic,
right.
nanomaterial.
Everybody can wear them. Then I don't see that as controversial. If you're stupid to get the new fabric that everybody knows is the thing to use. I mean,
their claim was the old records were made by athletes who didn't have that. So
but the old records are always being beat by new people.
Yeah, but that's
a stupid argument.
People were complaining like, well, they're not beating them because the athletes are better. They're beating them because everyone's wearing the new suit now. Type of thing.
But that's just why you can never actually compare.
I know. Yeah. And people eat better now, right? Nutrition wise and all the other stuff, right? How do you quantify that stuff?
Right.
They're all going to be better. Yeah. So I do agree. I think it would be controversial. But electrical stimulation as a training tool and as a, thing that enhances neural changes does seem extremely valid. Finding the right thresholds, how much electricity, which use cases, all that other stuff, that's sort of the ongoing science. But I have to admit that I've been very fascinated by the implications of the neurostim, the electrical stim. And I really think that on the gaming side, this is just a personal aside, I really wonder, because the incentives on that are pretty nuts. Some of these esports athletes practice like 10 to 12 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And if you could cut even 2-3 hours off of that by doing some stim, I think people would. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of esports players use a lot of the same training gear that the Olympics use.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of esports gamers I know who use cryogenic bathing setups.
Like the sensory deprivation and all that?
Or not sensory deprivation. I mean, they probably use that too, but no, like, where they like chill your body way down.
Holy Moses.
God, what's it called? I know someone who runs one of these facilities, and they're like, yeah, we had a massive uptick in gamers 2 years ago, and it would they had no idea. They did not mark it at all, but then all of a sudden, like, a gaming company was like, wait, this increases focus for like 5 hours after the bath. So let's try this. And it showed enough that they were like, okay, let's build a facility that has like 5 of these for like some of the big esports teams. And
though, I bet because a lot of these things are actually, we get all freaked out about the brain because we only get one, and we get worried about it. But brain surgeons, I have a friend of mine who's a really good big brain surgeon, neurosurgeon, and he invented the gamma knife that holds the brain, and then you can zap the bad cells without hurting the good cells, and now he does robotic spine surgery, and he says that we make all that stuff like way more complicated than it is, and stuff like that. And I just wonder if I bet you he already has some general ideas about electricity of the brain and what kind, now that I have a couple of these things that I could send him, I'm just wondering if there's some general, because I tell you, if I can get anybody that I respect to sign off on it, I would be ready to try it and just try it at a very low dose, or only 10 minutes a day or something to try it out. I probably would try it out if I could get somebody I respect to say that it's a low enough voltage that it can't really do anything. I'd maybe be a little bit of a guinea pig, because that's just too neat.
Yeah, no, it's
to me, it's just one step closer to being a computer in the sense of being able, and I'm ready to swap out parts. I just want them to really work first, but yeah, so that's why I was so excited about it. So I'm going to see if I can get, what kind of answers I can get out of the people that I do know in this field, and see if I can bring anything back, and then maybe I'll be a guinea pig for us.
Yeah. No, I mean, let me know how it goes. I think we're looking to do some stimulation-based studies down the road as well, because I'm really interested in the topic. I think it's something that I personally think that it is safe. I mean, I wait a little bit for caution, but the brain is electrical. Now, we're missing the chemical piece of it, right? In the sense of we're not modifying the chemical transmitters, we're only modifying the electrical. But as a concept, I would say, like, inserting something to prime the brain, or to tell it that there's going to be some kind of state, or to temporarily put it in a modified state that's beneficial to something, that all seems very reasonable. And we do know enough about the brain structure and the brain networks to be able to target certain locations, to be able to target certain networks, to be able to have some level of specificity in what we're doing. So luckily,
certainly are sound. Like
exactly. We're not just jamming electricity and hoping for the best. There is some purpose or method to what's happening. So I think for the most part that it's going to turn out to be great and completely safe and 100% valid, and that it's going to be really widely used. I just think the legacy of the stuff that came before was so horrific that it, really tainted the perception for a very long time.
Yep. And then it'll be something stupid that makes it commonplace.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Some weird thing will make the public accept it, and it'll be all over. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at like Google Glass. Google Glass, I love it still, but it's like, man, that was way too early.
Yeah, my sister's husband's a glass hole.
Yeah, I was about to say they started calling them glass holes.
Yeah. What the hell's the difference between walking around with this everywhere and having it attached to your head? So that's what I mean about the public.
If you have your phone in a pocket,
there's no difference.
You're a glass hole, basically, right? But no one's gonna say anything to you. Anyway, it's. I guess you could really blow someone's mind right now by wearing a mask with a Google Glass, and then then what do you even get mad about, right? Like it's
you're a gargoyle right out of Snow Crash. So I didn't like them apples.
Oh, I need to get my Google Glass back. I want to get mine back at some point. It's at
I'd like
MIT.
to see
Making my own because I'm doing all these things with my GoPro.
Right.
And now I have to get the sound right because the GoPro sound isn't as good as it could be.
Yeah.
So now I've got the GoPro with an extra mic, and I keep building this stuff, and I'm like,
the funniest thing I discovered
with it.
I was always wondering where they put the GoPros for a lot of those videos. I didn't know this. Helmet or your mouth.
They have a little... the mouth one is very common.
Yeah. I didn't know. It's like a little...
you bite.
Like a mouth guard type of thing.
Yeah,
like you would wear for sports. And then there's a little camera tray on the front of it.
Yeah.
But it
looks a good perspective.
That would be true obtrusive if you're actually racing or anything, I think. That's the whole point of the helmet cams that are cool.
Or helmet cams aren't allowed in a lot of sports during an actual race. Like because
they could harm you or
during
impact
skiing,
your head or whatever. Yeah.
I barely am allowed to ever even use a GoPro while training, while skiing.
Yeah.
Because the gates hit you. And if it's on your head, it could pull back your neck. I have a design I'm planning to build at some point for a breakaway GoPro mount, where if it gets hit with any amount of excess force, it will just fly off.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's I usually use a chest mount. Not a helmet mount, but some sports are now allowing GoPros a bit more often for watching, if it's a car or if it's a bike, they want to be able to sometimes see what happened if something happens.
Right.
I didn't see what time it was. I have to go.
That's cool, Lisa.
So much. It was so great. I learned so much, and I'm so excited. I'm hoping to be back every week. And thanks again. Talk to you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
So here, I'm going to turn off our stream. I think we've covered everything, the N10, the Eno, the stimulators. Yes. Yes.
We should
Dear disembodied viewer, welcome to the remaining portion of our program. Here, let me share the screen so that you can marvel at this display as well. So here is our friends at Emotibit, and it turns out that they are shipping the engineering samples. So if you look at their Indiegogo, let's see, pre-ordering soon. So let's go to the OpenBCI store. I think they currently have them.
Or
yes, look at it. It's the Emotibit. Bam.
Yeah.
So you can now go to OpenBCI and sign up for your Emotibit, which will arrive in 10 to 11 months.
Yep. I need one now for my summer class.
Well, you might be, depending on what we're doing with it, I have the engineering sample on the way. So, if you look here on their Kickstarter, they had this one package called Early Rockin' and Researching Bundle, but I don't think that was it. No, here we go. Emotibit Beta Bundle. So these units are handmade, and they will start shipping out in June. And I just got my email to give them my address like a few days ago. So I'm expecting that somewhere in the next week or two, I mean, you never know.
Yeah. I do have to say, like the problem with the Modibit is you kind of really want multiple of them for some of their like other sensors.
Right.
Or I wish they had like a breakout with extra sensor stuff, because I know like I'd love to check like body temperature or other things in different parts of the body. Like
I don't think they limit you necessarily. Like they have this 3D printed case, and you
yeah.
can put them anywhere.
Oh yeah. I'm like, because I've been trying to get my resting heart rate every day, but it's annoying wearing the finger thing
Right.
and having to look at it. Like
Yes.
my resting heart rate, I usually get 45, which is pretty low, but also I am very light and
Right.
have very fluid blood. It's very easy for my body to pump blood currently. But yeah, I mean, I do want to track things like heart rate and whatnot a lot better, and also I can't wear that finger thing while I'm gaming.
Oh no, that finger thing is terrible.
Yeah.
This is why originally, I mean, they show it in this Kickstarter, but we
Yeah,
had been
on
looking at the Empatica E4, and it really is $1,700.
Yeah, it's
So
like,
that was a huge bummer, because it's like, man, we're gonna have people wear a $2,000 wristband. I mean, it's fine, but that is a lot of cash.
yeah.
Here, this is 200, and that's just way better. So I agree with you. I think that this is phenomenal. I'm super excited about the mix of temperature, heart rate, and galvanic skin response, and that's about it. I mean, I hope to, if the engineering sample is reliable, I would hope to even potentially try using it in some of the pilot studies that we're doing. And if it's not, I'm perfectly happy to get our pipeline ready and then just use the ones that are production ready.
Yeah, like, so the one I got from a family member is, let me share my screen
here.
for a sec,
All right.
is the, can you see that?
Ah, yes.
The
Gotcha.
Massimo Mighty Sat pulse oximeter. And I like that it has all of these things: respiration,
Yes.
rate from pleth variability, perfusion,
Mhm.
and it's all displayed really well. And
Right.
yeah,
I think I've got something similar. It's certainly not the same company or the exact same feature set, but it's the same concept of, you get the pulse intensity, you get the
yeah,
heart
like
rate, and all that other stuff.
This isn't a ECG. This is the
intensity of your pulses, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's yeah, it's like, it's close enough in some aspects that you can use it as a like derivative, but like, yeah, this is nice, but also the thing I hate is its Bluetooth is or its app is garbage. I can get it to show up by Bluetooth, but it cannot connect to any of their apps on Android at all. None of their, actually, it can work on Android Marshmallow, maybe, like 3-year-old Android. It works on iPhone, but not Android. So that's really annoying, though. But I got it for free, and it works on its own, which is fine. Yeah, but yeah, it's not a good form factor. I want something on my wrist, or if I can like put it on my leg or somewhere out of the way.
Yes, and that's one of the use cases that they show, like somebody wearing it while skateboarding,
Yeah.
and that's perfect. I mean, if we could reliably measure off the leg, I mean, that would be great for a lot of these
Oh, yeah.
studies because, I mean, it's just nice to not have to do stuff on the arm or the shoulder or the whatever and deal with all the
Yeah.
interference. So, I mean, that'd be
Yeah.
perfect.
I mean, I think it could also be interesting to get it and get some like sticky something and then just like stick it on your chest right near your heart.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just imagine removing it. This clump of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, that's the thing. Or put it on your back or like the back of your neck. Just
Yes.
anywhere that like you would probably get a pretty stable and useful like skin response, galvanic, like temperature response, but good like if you put it near things that distribute like a lot of your body's function, I think you'd probably get some very useful readings overall. But which is why I think something like the spine is a great place for some sensors like this, because that's distributing so much around your body.
Absolutely.
And like things like the temperature, because it has multiple types of like temperature and galvanic skin response, doesn't it?
Yes,
Or,
yes, it
yeah.
has. It had the list right here. Okay, so you got galvanic skin response, electrodermal activity resistance. You have the PPG for the heart rate, the variability, and the oxygen saturation, and then you've got body temp. And I think it's these three things together. Obviously, you have the IMU, so accelerometer, gyroscope, and magnetometer, which can be useful. But really, for me, it's this temperature, PPG, EDA, GSR that I'm excited about.
Yeah, and because it's real time with all of this, you can probably get a pretty accurate like EMG and other not EMG pulse
Right. Pulse ox,
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really exciting that they're shipping those engineering samples, just like they said. I mean, it's only been about a week or two since their campaign ended. But yeah, I'm really excited. I hope that I get that in July. And if I do, I hope that they have their streaming functionality running. And if they do, I'll let people know what kind of data I'm getting off of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I also now something I want to do because I know they have a couple locations around the Bay Area is how earlier I was talking about like cryo, I couldn't remember what it was called, but cryotherapy.
Right.
Where I would love to actually do that while having like EG or something and actually see if the lower body temperature and then doing an activity is what changes in my brain or my body, what maybe I'll have a lower like pulse rate or something for a longer period of time while gaming. I don't know. And there is not a lot of research on this, even though a lot of people are like, cryotherapy is great in the sports world for like years.
Right.
Almost all of the media about it is from cryotherapy companies.
Of course.
So it's like, yeah, we actually don't have that many people come and try actual studies with us. Like, and there a couple of the places are like, we kind of need more research. Yeah, because everything's like, oh, cryotherapy benefits, yada, yada, yada. This person, this athlete uses it. This athlete uses it.
Exactly. No, it's, I think there's a lot of validity, and the appeal of using physical athletes is that the things that they do are measurable. It's very hard to compare in esports. You can look at things like stats in game, like how hard you farmed or how many kills you got or whatever, right? But it's just not the same as saying, like, I can jump faster or further or whatever it is using this device or using this method. I think that the real world athletes creates a very tangible feel to it.
And there's a lot, and a lot of these athletes have so many different types of things that they're checking and recording. So like a lot of them might do cryotherapy and then go run on a oxygen like treadmill setup where they know exactly how much oxygen the person's breathing, exactly how fast they're running, and probably videoing that person to check their overall movement. And it's very easy to do studies with and without, and the cryotherapy, and see if it makes any sort of noticeable difference above something that could be considered day-to-day variance in an athlete. Dude, anything from stress, what they ate for dinner the night before, how they slept, but all of those are probably being tracked as well. Like I don't know many esports gamers who are tracking their sleep yet.
It's growing. The analytics is growing, but the thing is, the field is so chaotic still. That, you know, I think in the next 2-3 years you'll see a sudden uptake of a bunch of these techniques all around the esports gaming, and in the meantime we're just still getting settled in, I think.
And I mean, VR is going to be a lot of fun in the future, because we're getting very close to the point where enough of your physical ability matters in VR that you actually want to be in shape to be competitive at VR. But there's also only like 10 games total that are competitive VR games. And the only company that really supported VR competitions has been Ubisoft and Oculus. Like Oculus has that like VR esports league thing that I know at Noisebridge we thought about creating a team. And quite a few of us know a couple competitive VR players. But yeah, that's stuff where as new devices come out, like full body tracking is what I'm excited for. And then when you can actually transfer certain skills more accurately into games. So like if you've practiced martial arts, you will be better at this video game.
I think that'll be very interesting. I agree with you. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the stream for this week. Thank you all, our ghost